What do you do after witnessing a murder of a child? Greg Fiss, he rewired his mind, forgave the murderer, and built a life of purpose. This conversation will change how you see pain and trauma forever. Welcome to True Wellness with Dr. D, the podcast where we explore what it takes to live with vitality, balance, and purpose. I am Dr. D, and each week I'll bring you powerful tools, inspiring stories, and expert insights to help you thrive in every area of your life. From health and wellness to mindset and navigating life's challenges, this podcast is your guide to creating a life of true well-being. Be sure to check the show notes and grab your free copy of the True Wellness Checklist so you can get started on your journey to true wellness right away. Now, let's get started. What if everything you believe about yourself, your fears, your limitations, your patterns, what if they were largely written for you between the ages of 0 and 14? What if you could actually pick up the pen now and rewrite that script? I'm joined today by best-selling author Greg Fiss. He is the author of The Power in the Pain. He's the founder of the GP Mind Growth Academy. He's a combat veteran, an NLP trainer, a timeline therapy trainer, a firewalking instructor. But more importantly, he has someone who has turned a life of, severe childhood trauma and combat deployments into a mission of helping others actually rewire their neurology, reclaim their power, and lead with purpose. So, Greg, I'm excited to have you here today to really show us what happens when we don't have to define ourselves by our story that we tell ourselves, and how we can actually change that.
I know. I'm excited to be on here too and share with everyone else. I remember very vividly what it was like being on, I say the other side. I remember a time when I didn't believe what I'm doing today was possible. And people tried to speak that to me. And I mean, I literally rejected it. I thought they just don't understand what they're talking about. And
Yes.
then being where I am today, it's just a passion to really get to share back to those that are like, hey, that's not possible for me. And it
Mm.
definitely is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really important. And I know that some of our listeners have probably even been in the space where they're just like, hey, there's stuff going on, there's stuff that's been happening in my life, and I just can't move past it. Like there's no way to move past this. I think sometimes there's like this double-edged sword, and you can tell me your thoughts on this, but like this double-edged sword on like trauma. Like there are schools of thought that believe that trauma has to dictate everything in your future and the way that your life turns out, and whether or not you're going to have anxiety and depression, uh, you know, emotional dysregulation. And yet the truth is, maybe it doesn't really.
Absolutely. I definitely agree. When we go through these, I love talking about trauma, but the truth is life experiences.
Yes.
If they're traumatic, they're gonna be a bit more intense, so they're gonna write on the neurology a bit deeper. They're gonna lean into the pad a little bit more. But all of our experiences are right in our neurology, and anything that we have ever done, we own the programming for. So, like, I have this belief, and I'd love to even hear your feedback. Like, I am healing, I'm not healed.
Yeah.
So, like the trauma responses I had, I own the programming. I did the behavior once. I'm capable of doing the behavior again.
Yes.
So for the rest of my life, I'm focused on rewriting programming and focusing on acting on this new programming.
Yes.
Um, yeah, yeah.
I joke with our clients. It's like the journey's never, it's never ending, right? It's never done. It's like no matter where we are, we have the opportunity to reflect, learn, and grow, but we're always kind of moving to a different level. So we always want to keep moving in the right direction. And sometimes that means we may even come back to the same trauma. And I say trauma loosely here, right? Because you're right. There are some things, and I'm sure you'll share with us a little bit of your story in a moment, but there are some things that are truly traumatic, right? And then there's like the ups and downs of life. And yes, they're different, but the way that they impact us also is still along those same lines. So we all have some level of trauma that's occurred. I mean, it's what shapes us to be who we are, but it doesn't have to dictate all of our different actions,
That's
right?
right. That's
So,
right. I love it. I'm of the same belief. When we look at, it was probably about 2, 3 years ago, probably about 3 years ago or so. Someone on a podcast I had at the time, they were coming on as a guest, and they said, Is it okay to discuss little t trauma?" And it was the first time I heard that terminology ever.
I
And I
like
said, "What
it.
do you mean little t trauma?" And they were expressing like things that were not like um, large traumatic experiences, where people have experiences that might not be as grand in a single exposure, but it was intense bullying through 4 years of high school or something of that nature. And the truth is, whatever that thing is that has us hung up, like even if we're like, but nothing bad happened to me. Okay, okay, pick the label. Like we don't have to use trauma, but that's that thing, and it's all relevant. So it's the exact same. Like I some of my story is very deep and very dark, and I'll share as we go through. Yet it's relative. It's all the same for the next person that's going through what they're going through.
Yes, yes, exactly. It's funny. We're my son's applying to college, and we're going through like the applications and the essays and all that. And he's like, "But mom, like I don't have any real big trauma, right?" And I'm like, "You might not have any real big trauma, but there's definitely trauma, right?" And then I'm looking through some pictures last night because we somebody needed a picture for a project for my daughter, and I find this video of my son where he's having like this meltdown and he's like so mad, and the world is like this terrible place, and I must not have been allowing him to do something, and he was so frustrated. I'm thinking, well, there you go. In that moment, that was one of those micro traumas, right? Like at
Yeah,
some
yeah.
point his programming was making some decisions about who he was, who the world was, and what was happening, whether it was, you know, a meltdown because mom said no, or whether it was something else.
And that experience, relatively speaking, that experience was intense enough to create that physiological response in
Exactly.
his model of the world at that time, at that moment. I share with I had the privilege of working with someone in the past, and I love sharing this, that when I first started working with them, whenever I work with people, I mean it's always like 0 to 14 is, but 0 to 7 is like really, really, implemental when we're really being imprinted upon. So whenever I work with someone, I'm always going to 0 to 7. Like
Yeah.
whatever, you think this happened when you were 20, 30, 40, like 0 to 7 had a string of events that actually led to this.
Right.
And let's get to that root. And I was talking with someone one time, and they said, I didn't have a bad child. I had a really good childhood. And the further we get in, this person was looking for more confidence, looking to launch their business. And, we really dive into childhood. Like all of our parents were doing the best they could.
Yes.
And like for this person, like their parent, to say one too many times, said by me, told them to be patient, to
Mhm.
wait, to let their friends go first.
Uh-huh.
And now unconsciously, that programming, they're waiting for all their friends to launch their business so they're allowed to.
Yes.
So, I mean, sometimes it looks like that and we don't even realize it.
Yes, it doesn't matter the intention. So in the work that I do too, we do something called the emotional repolarization technique, and we go back and we use kinesiological testing to identify like a specific thought belief. And I remember I was working with a client one time, and it was, we were working on, now and forever I can be loved. And what it came down to was a very simple event. It was Sunday, the family was getting ready for church, and she had a beautiful dress on. And while, her family was getting ready and they were getting ready to go, she got her dress dirty while she was riding her bike outside, and her mom got upset, like, normal mom things.
Right.
And that, you wouldn't classify that as a big trauma, but it shaped her, right? Something so simple like that shaped her. So, I'm right along the lines with you there. So let's talk a little bit about, I mean, in your book, you talk about how the past doesn't define us, but
Yeah.
it's really all about our interpretation. Can you kind of walk us through how you came to that realization in your own life?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Dr. D. I just wanted to remind you that you can get started on your true wellness journey. Go ahead and check the show notes and grab a link to the True Wellness Checklist. Now, let's get back to the episode.
I started my what I call my journey, my little self-development journey in 2011, and I was at my dark night of the soul moment and really not sure which way to go, and I hadn't read books before in my life. I mean, whatever I was required to for schooling and such, but not for pleasure. And I found this book, and everyone's asked me to this day, 14 years later, who was the author, what was the title of the book, and I don't know the answer. But I found this book in my proximity, and I have no clue how it got there, on forgiveness.
Mm,
And I was really at like the period I was at my lowest point in life at this time. And up until this point in my life, I thought all of the self-help programs, I thought all of it was snake oil. I thought it was
yes.
all BS. I thought like I'll never get duped by that stuff. And so this book is in my presence and it falls into that category, if you will. And I felt like I would again at the lowest point, I felt like I wanted to prove that
Mm.
these things, like these books, these things, they weren't real. So literally being stubborn, I read this book to almost like prove it's all BS. And
Yeah.
yeah, this book doesn't change my whole life, but what it did, it started to perspective of this book was on forgiveness, and I had a journey of forgiving my stepmother, which we can unpack a little bit as we go. So very vile, aggressive child abuse, psychological and physical, even like torturous behaviors, sitting me on a wood burning stove, and I didn't get medical attention, and like taking me to the basement and scrubbing the dead skin off because it had an odor, trying to go to school.
Oh
So
my gosh.
things like this. And when I was 7 years old, I witnessed my stepmother kill my 5-year-old brother by picking him up by his ankles and dropping him on his head on the concrete. And she had lied and said that he fell off the pool deck and
Oh my.
threatened my life to say any different, and my older brother as well. Eventually, I ran away from home and was in detention center just about till about 17, and then a group home, and then military. So this book on forgiveness, I had someone that I could use a little forgiveness with. So
Yeah.
as I read this book, what I took away from the book at the time, which was just enough, was that, and I don't even know if this, who knows what the author was even trying to say, but my programming at the time, I took away that forgiveness is a decision.
Mm.
And like this is what I took from it. And so if it was a decision, then it was a discipline. And
Mm.
if it was a discipline, then I could do it. Like then I could this is something I could grasp.
Yeah.
Um, so I decided like I'll make the decision. I forgive my stepmother. Well, of course, the journey's a little bit longer than that.
I'm sure.
Um,
I'm sure some of the listeners are going like, wait, what? How could you do that? Like, but she did all those things.
it was brutal. My journey of forgiving her, and said by me, it was brutal. In the beginning, like this wouldn't last. Like I couldn't even fool myself for minutes at a time. Like I would immediately think to myself, like, there's no way. Like this means she has a free pass. Like she's just free and clear to do this. Like this, like forget, like this can't be so. Um, what kept me going in the beginning was the idea that in the past I've done some competitive bodybuilding,
Hmm.
And I relate it in my mind that this decision to forgive would be equivalent to the discipline of eating the next meal in 2 hours.
Hmm.
So every 2 hours, sometimes less, I just have to redecide. And as
Yeah.
long as I can do that, like I can get on stage at a lean body percent. So as long as I can do that, I can get to this forgiveness journey. Now, I don't know to tell other people what they should do or not do, but at the time, this is what's carrying me hour by hour, day by day in the darkest moments. Like I'll just keep re-upping on this. Like I commit internally, like there's no therapist, there's no coach involved. It's just this internal commitment. Like, let me just check and see if this is possible. Is there something there? And I need to know that I didn't give up.
Mm.
Um, yeah, as I went, I start reading other books because I think to myself, okay, maybe there's something in these books. And along the way, I mean, I end up reading, I mean, I don't know, I mean, thousands of books. In 2015, I start slow. I read like one or two books a year.
Uh-huh.
In 2015, I set a goal for 12 books and I did 25.
Wow.
And now I'll do triple digits a year. Now, majority of my books are taken in through audio.
Yeah.
And I do that intentionally because I'm controlling the loose thoughts in between when I'm traveling, brushing my teeth, showering, working out, whatever the case may be. Um, the big picture journey of forgiveness uh, was really taken in something that was big for me. Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yes.
I think that book is exceptional. And somewhere in that book, he says, where he quotes someone, I forget who he quotes, but he says, we shouldn't judge others because we are no different than they are under other circumstances.
Yes.
And that really opened the door to me seeing my stepmother with empathy and compassion
Yes.
because I could just imagine if it was me.
Hmm.
And most people say I would never do that. But I've literally asked people out speaking, like, who here has ever woke up with so much anger, with so much rage that you considered intentionally just harming a child? And no one raises their hand.
Right.
Well, then no one knows the weight she carried every single day.
Yeah.
We would have to have raised our hand to say, yeah, I've been that raged, angry,
Hmm.
and I didn't act on it. Then you could speak on it. But prior to that, and even speaking on it, let's hear it. But even prior to that, we're not even aware of what that is. And NLP, eventually I crossed paths with NLP around 2018, 19 timeframe. And it just really was a algorithm that I took to, I share with people. NLP is just a compilation of other people's information. In NLP, I learned this concept or theory, if you will, separating the person from the behavior. And then if like, and I say if, I mean when we can allow ourselves to get to that place of compartmentalization, the person is no different than me in a spirit, in an energy.
Hmm.
The behavior is what they did and they're responsible for it. And the behavior gets all of the repercussion, all of the boundaries, all of the consequences, and they're responsible for it. So now they're responsible for everything that came with the behavior.
Yes.
But if I separate them, I can almost, like, the way I imagine is like my 10-year-old son, like when he gets in trouble, like, and I have to enforce the consequence. You're gonna do this, and the whole time, like, I love you, and I wish we didn't have to go through the
Yes.
consequence, and we're going
Yes.
all the way through it. So that was huge for me in that journey of forgiveness, really separating. I tell people, like, if we look at my stepmother, like when we look at what she did, it's just vile, it's horrible, it's foul all the way around. And if we remove the kids from the equation,
Hmm.
then we would say, now she didn't do none of these behaviors, right? But she would still exist. Separate
Right.
the person and the behavior. And then if we looked at that person, I mean, most of us with a heart would say, oh my gosh, she needs help.
Right.
This was, it wasn't like an aha moment in one day, but going through all this and allowing myself, and it's like You got to let yourself be vulnerable because I'm sitting with empathy and compassion for the person that I hate. I'm
Yeah.
imagining myself as the person that I hate.
Hmm.
And yeah, some parts of the journey are rougher than others or
Absolutely.
bumpy. Yeah.
But what I hear you saying overall, though, is that we can take a journey, something as really heartbreaking as what it is that you went through, or something as mundane as, correcting your 10-year-old son, like you said. And we can really start to choose to break them apart, to recognize that, okay, so there are different components of this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what specifically, for example, are some of the things that you noticed in your own life that were like specific beliefs or behaviors that you later came to recognize actually came from that early programming, that early neurological wiring?
Yeah. Some of the earliest ones, I genuinely believe, like I knew that, said by me, I was very ignorant as a young adult. I did not understand the things that other people understood. As an 18, 19, 20-year-old, 2003, between 2003 and 5, like my peers would know things seemingly that I'm like, how did you know that? And they would say to me, which at the time I never wanted to hear ever again, was like, oh, just Google it. I didn't even have a computer. I didn't know how to use a computer. So like I felt very ignorant and I was aware that there's a lot of experiences. Now, at the time, talking about beliefs, I was aware at the time that there was a lot of experiences that other people got to have that I just did not possess. A lot. Changing a tire, going fishing with dad, getting a hug from mom, like just no experience, no awareness of. So when we talk about beliefs, I was aware that I was um, I had a lack of experiences, so I didn't have the abilities that other people had. So now, when I say had awareness of this, oh, I did. I was like very, very aware of it. I knew all the reasons. I could list them all out. When we talk about beliefs, later on, I shifted to realizing we both, me and my peers at that time, both had experiences from birth up until now. You
Yes.
had different experiences.
Yes.
Equally so, I had different experiences.
Hmm.
So then I started to realize it's on me to go back and learn what I got from my experiences.
Hmm.
It's different. It doesn't operate the same as, but when I go back, I have all these experiences. So that, like, one of the beliefs, like, I really believe, like, we talk about victim mindset. I remember, like, so vividly, people would try to convince me, like, hey, you have potential, And in my mind, I saw it as if, like, a race had begun and I was held down, and it's 2 hours later into this half marathon and then they're like, well, you can start now if you want.
Yes.
And it was like, no, like, why would I? Like, obviously, I'm going to come in last. And these were the beliefs I had. Obviously, I'm going to come in last. Why would I even put myself through that? I'll just hang out here.
Mm.
This was the belief that I had. Like, why would I? And literally, I lived, said by me, lazy. And I don't just mean physically. If anything, I wasn't lazy in a physical term. That's where I hung my hat. I did the physical things. But in my emotions, in my intellect, in my social group, um, really just allowing myself to just stay where I was at because I believed, I genuinely, the beliefs, I believed that there was no way that I could ever do what other people are doing.
Right.
As that shifts, I start realizing things like, and again, for me, there was some aha moments along the way, but I'll recommend to everyone, like, as we've spoke about so far, like, just keep going on the journey. Eventually you'll look back and be like, holy smokes, I have a lot of ahas. But like in theory, let's release the idea of looking for the one aha that makes it all make sense.
Yes.
Uh, so the beliefs shifted. So I believed I could never do what they were doing. Well,
Mhm.
one of the beliefs that shifted was, could I do the best that I'm capable of with the time that's left? And now everyone else on the racetrack is deleted. And I don't care when they left on the finish line off the start.
I love that.
This
That's a
is like, oh, please go ahead, Danny. Or
Yeah, that's a beautiful, beautiful analogy. So let's take that and make the a little bit more concrete, right? So I know there's probably someone listening who's saying like, well, I know I have limited beliefs from childhood, but I don't know how to find them or shift them. So what are those practical steps to starting to identify them?
let's go. I love it. So identifying limiting beliefs. I I only in my maybe in like the last 5 years of my life did I really come to some form of understanding what limiting beliefs are and really start like going after them in my life and my mindset. Mind you, there was like 14 years on this journey, but I did a good job of isolating for a while. Finding community is huge for everyone. So finding them, maybe even if we took a step back and what are they? Like, what are we even looking for? And I think perception is projection. You know, there was a time in my journey in which I thought limiting beliefs were like, I wanted someone to give me the list of all of them so I could look through and make sure I didn't have them. That was ego, of course, because I don't have this. See, nope, not me. And so, like, I thought limiting beliefs were static in nature. So, I don't have enough time. That's a limiting belief. Well, I don't have enough time to um, go out and gamble. That belief doesn't limit me. That belief empowers me.
Right.
So what I realized is like beliefs, like a limiting belief for me is not statically limiting for everyone else.
Mhm.
And then so when we talk about what are limiting beliefs, let's just I think let's talk about the awareness that it's nothing more than a belief
Yeah.
that right now by maintaining it, it must limit you from going where you want to go. If you're sure it's not a limiting belief.
Hmm.
So this would be like, what is it? Then let's go a layer deeper. How do we find them?
Right.
I think one of like something that's helped me along the way is, and you can ask yourself a big question or a bunch of small questions. What is it that you want? And like we could look at big, like what do you want in life? And sure, we can go that direction. But like really small, like right now, like when you walk in the front door, what do you want? And so let's say, well, man, I'd love to see the house clean, and I'd love for my spouse to greet me with a smile today, and I'd love to just have peace in the house. Okay,
Hmm.
so just write that down. This is what I want in your own words, however you say it. Don't worry about how you say it and how you structure it.
Yes.
And then below that, why do you believe you can't have it right now? Or what's holding you back from having it right now?
Hmm.
And you can write these in any way you want. So, my spouse is always upset. My spouse doesn't help me with the chores around the house. Whatever it is, write these down.
Kids make a mess.
The kids make no. Whatever these things are. Now these are your limiting beliefs.
Hmm.
Now it's hard to now we go into how do we change them, okay? A layer deeper. Even before we change them, we got to accept it. Most of us are going to say no because we're pointing the finger outward.
Yes.
How is the fact that my spouse is always angry my limiting belief?
Right.
I know it sounds crazy, and along my journey, there was so many things that I learned that I remember looking back thinking like, man, I thought that was crazy for a little while. That actually works. Perception is projection.
Yes.
Like you are creating a like to think that like how is it my how am I involved how am I causing the fact how is it my limiting belief that my spouse is always angry? My spouse is always angry. For that to be true, and this is hypothetical, but map it across. For that to be true, you have to have awareness of the future that they're never not going to be angry.
Yes. Now say that again, because I think people are going like, what? What? Say that one more
If
time.
yeah. So what I want is when I go home, my spouse is happy, smiling, greets me. There's peace in the home, house is clean. What's preventing that from happening right now already? My spouse is always angry. Well,
Mhm.
that's your limiting belief, and then it's hard to like again, like we think like me, my how is the fact that it is a fact my spouse is always upset? How is that fact my limiting belief? In order for that fact to be a truth, you have to have awareness of the future and the fact that your spouse will never not be nice
Right.
or
So
never be nice.
you know you're going to open that door and you're already looking for what's the thing that your spouse is going to say that confirms that belief.
And the last thing your ego wants to do is confirm you wrong.
Of course.
So even if your spouse smiled and greeted you at the door, your inner critic would say, "Oh, that was fake."
Yeah, right.
So, okay. So, but this is just accepting that it's our limiting belief. Then we got to go a layer deeper, right? Like, how do we change? Let's start changing them. Now,
Yes.
listen, the truth is, I'm going to share a way. It's not important to think of it as the way.
Sure.
Because I have this belief that there's a ton of modalities out there, and I think all of them work.
Yes.
And the right one is the one that speaks to each person.
Yes.
Okay. I go off the basis of this is formed through an original memory somewhere in childhood.
Yes.
Now, let's suppose that the person is saying, yeah, but how do I find that memory? This is where the conversation gets a little quantum-y, if we will. Okay, if I asked you to think of yesterday, and if you'd stay engaged with me, you couldn't tell me about the memory of yesterday until you pull up that memory. Then you can start telling me all about it.
Yes.
Where did we pull it from? I don't know. I don't know. If we had an autopsy at the end, they cannot put our imagination or our memories on the table.
No, they can't.
But we definitively know that we have an imagination and memories. Okay. So we are unconsciously aware of our imagination and our memories. Like it came from somewhere, but we are literally unconscious of where. So we're unconsciously aware of our memories.
Mhm.
If that is true, I believe this to be true because, again, where did they come from?
Yes.
We have to, and again, the modality that works for you, it can be meditation, it can be hypnosis, it can be timeline therapy, it can be religion, like whatever's going to work for you. But allow yourself a quiet space and stop trying to know.
Mm. Get out of the conscious mind.
Yes, yes. Like what we're trying to do is know which memory it was, but we don't know which memory it was. So we have to like do this like weird tail chasing thing, and then we have evidence and we tell people, but I don't know what memory it was. Oh, I believe you. So like in whatever it is for you, we have to allow ourselves to go back and almost feel that memory.
Hmm.
So we have to like set an intent, like, okay, I'm looking for what are the reasons that I believe my spouse is always upset with me? And then allow ourselves to be curious and like don't intentionally go find what it is. Be curious, what could it be? And
Yeah.
some memories are going to start popping up from childhood. And some of them you might be like, oh my gosh, that's it.
Hmm.
And sometimes this memory might pop up and you might be like, why is that popping up? Still worthy, very worthy of investigating. It's like almost imperative to investigate those ones.
Hmm. Hmm.
Once we find these memories, whatever they are, and when I say find them, why did we think of them? Where did they come from? How did we think of it? The unconscious.
Yes.
Once this memory pulls up, so I think, why do I always think my spouse is always frustrated? Because I'm the one that has the thought. The rest of the world doesn't think my spouse is always frustrated. Why do I think that? And then I pull up this memory and mom said this to dad when I was 6 years old, maybe, or I saw this happen, or I saw the neighbors do a thing, or something happened on the bus, or
Right.
uncle, okay?
Yeah.
And then to break through that limiting belief, we have to learn something about this experience that we have not before.
Hmm.
This experience has a meaning that's written unconsciously on our neurology. So every time someone raises their voice, that means they're going to attack you or offend you.
Hmm.
Okay. So, but I'm not aware of that at the time. And it might be voice raising or whatever the thing is. So I have to go back and I want to review this memory as if I was paid to audit it and it wasn't mine.
Yes, I like that. Good.
Go ahead, please. Doc, yeah, please.
No, I really love that because so the thing is, people may like they may have fear of digging into like childhood trauma because they think it's gonna maybe destabilize them or they're afraid about what's gonna open up. And so, I think what you're saying right there is part of the reason why we don't always have to be afraid of opening up that box, right? Like we can actually, they can approach those situations, right? Healing in a way that's healing and safe and constructive versus, coming into it and it being really uncomfortable because you're literally just kind of coming as a spot on the wall, getting really curious and say, oh, what is it that I can learn from this? What didn't I see the first time because I was so engaged? What is this new perspective showing me? That's pretty
Absolutely.
powerful.
And when we, and it's important to note, and I'm glad that you highlighted that, when we go back into the memory and we're in our own body and we're seeing the experience through our own eyes and in the memory, we are very emotionally connected and we're limited on perspective.
Yes.
When we go back and we're viewing it with that fly on the wall aspect, we are totally, all of our logic is available to us. We don't have the same emotional connection because that's not us down there. We're reviewing, we're auditing the situation. And a big part, we all have everything we need inside of us already. All of us. The Alchemist's exceptional metaphor book about this.
Uh-huh.
We all have everything we need inside of us already, and this journey can be scary. It doesn't have to be, but look, it can be.
Sure.
You already have all the magic in you, but oh my gosh, can you really get some synergistic energy when you find that community, that coach, that mentor, whatever it is, to really help guide you, to help remind you, like, hey, no, 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 that's not you. We're looking at it from this perspective.
Mhm.
Yeah, guiding you through that process.
Love it. So, you know, a lot of we attract listeners who are, they're leaders, right? They're doing a lot in the world. And I know that you speak on being a leader. So, what does that mean to you, right? How does all of this play into leadership?
Leadership starts with, when we think of leader, a lot of times we're thinking of titles, roles, subordinates, things like this, and all of this can come with leadership. But when we look at leadership, leadership starts in the mind.
Mm,
It 100% starts in the mind. And leadership starts when we become a leader. We don't have to, like the idea that if we can get in a position, then we can lead others. That position allows you to have whatever portion of authority over those that you're leading. You become a leader when you shift your mind from being at effect for what's happening to being at cause for what's happening.
yes.
And when you can live from a place where you choose to, and it's a choice, we don't have to, but when you choose to live from a place that cause. So like, I am causing what's happening in my life. There's no coincidence. There's a string of decisions that's leading to this at any time. When you choose to live through that lens, people will naturally want to follow you, the mission you're making, the impact you're having. This is when you become a leader, when you're capable of creating inspiration in others through your action and your own journey. That's my belief on leadership.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, what it really points to is a couple things, right? It points to vulnerability, it points to humility, right? And it points to the power of authenticity, right? When we're able to kind of stop pointing the finger and we're able to kind of be like, okay, what is it that I'm doing to contribute to this? Then that becomes something powerful because all of a sudden something that we had no facility or control over now comes into it comes to the forefront for us. We can actually maneuver whatever it is that thing is that's happening. But
As an adult, like at some point in my life, we can all probably agree it was fair to point a finger at my stepmother and it was her fault and I wasn't causing this. And,
right.
and then, much past what I'd like to admit, I carried what she did and allowed myself to live a life as a victim. I was affected by, no, you guys don't understand. I can't win the race. You don't understand what happened to me as a child. And I
Right.
try to give them examples like, no, 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 you don't understand. I didn't have these experience. I don't have these exposures. My childhood, a moment back in the beginning, we talked about how we tell ourselves the story.
Mhm.
My childhood used to weigh me down so much. I would try to convince others like what they didn't understand and how I couldn't achieve things. My childhood now is a platform that allows me to create an impact that I wouldn't have been able to make otherwise.
Yeah.
My childhood didn't change. It's the same in both scenarios, just the story I was telling myself about my childhood. In the beginning, the story sounded like finger out. You don't understand. You don't understand. She did this and this and this and this and this, and I have proof for it. Later on, it was how long are you going to allow her actions to control your life and limit the people, the impact that your words are going to have?
Yes. Yes, it's really powerful, right? Because you can, I mean, it's very evident, and hopefully it's evident to our listeners too. Like your life could have gone in two very different directions depending on which story you chose to stick with, right? And I think that that's powerful because I'll bet. I mean, even in my life now and in your life now, there are places where we've got this story that is holding us back from having something that we want in some way, shape, or form. And I think it's important, what you're speaking to as well is our use of language, hence neurolinguistic programming, right? But your use of language and how you express and what it is that you say. So how do you advise people to move from that point? And I'm going to call it like one pathway, and this might not capture all of it, but one pathway is almost like this victimization, right? Where you're always at effect. And the other side of that is cause, where you are now creating where it is that you go. What do you think is key to that pivot, or what was key to that pivot for you?
Two things. Let me write one down and I'll make sure I capture it.
Yeah.
Um, so deciding, I like to say desire is the precursor to change, but the truth is desire or pressure are the precursors to change.
True.
So pressure happens at rock bottom, and desire can happen anywhere.
Mhm.
And when we have a desire for something different than what we have right now, a different life, more than we have a desire for the comfort that our current life provides, then we'll go for it.
Mhm.
So everyone is allowed to be exactly where they are on their journey. When you have enough desire, there's an internal commitment, and it's like said by me, like reflecting on my journey, it's scary as heck in the beginning. Like, I'm responsible for everything. And
Mm.
some stuff might be like, it could be, listen, I had all my areas to work on and still a lot to work on. I mean, it could be our physical health, it could be our integrity, it could be our emotional maturity. Oh, I failed horribly at that one for a long while. And like looking up at some point in time and realizing like how far we are behind. And
Yes.
it's not like I got to clean this up, it's going to take me a week. Like
Mhm.
we're looking and we're like, oh, I got some work to do. And then I mean, like, so I have to do all this work and then throw also on top of that, it's my fault.
Mhm.
Oh man. So like in the beginning, it's like so scary. It's like unwanted, like it's all my fault. And very quickly that shifted for me in realizing fault. Well, we can use that if we want, but is it important to use that label fault?
Mhm.
I have caused all of this. That feels different to me. Like fault is like win or loser. And if I'm at fault, I'm the loser. So I have to carry all this loss with me and I have to sort it all out and do all the work and then try to catch up. Instead of fault, I have caused all of this, and all of this has the equal opportunity of good and bad inside of it. So I've caused all of this, and I'm not winning or losing yet. I just have
Right.
all of this.
Right.
And the power starts coming in when you realize only if that's true. From this point forward, like I think our timeline would be like a dot and a single line and a
Sure.
dot for right now. And everything past right now is this like infinity of lines.
Sure. Which
It,
line do you choose?
which line? So like only if it's true that I've caused all of this, then all of a sudden that means I can cause whichever line moving forward and wholly empowering.
Yes.
So like in like the front end of this is like, oh, I caused it. And then like really quickly is the realization, oh, all of my learnings are in here and I can cause whatever I want from here. I can be an astronaut, doctor, lawyer, whatever the thing is that I want to do, want to be, healer, have peace, joy, minimalist, abundance. Then
Yeah.
it's like, oh my gosh, like I don't need anything. I can cause this moving forward.
Hmm.
So one of the shifts is realizing that in the beginning it can be scary. And then let me speak from my experience. Pushing through that, like very quickly, is the realization of complete empowerment. I have a blank slate. I could go in any direction. I am infinite. What would I like?
Yeah.
The other piece that I want to share with everyone, we talked. You spoke a little bit about language patterns. They're huge. It's not the end all say all, but they give us a lot of clues. So let me give your listeners a language pattern. Here's a language pattern that I'll suggest, recommend to be very mindful of, to anchor yourself of when it's said. Let's be, I'm going to share two sides. So let's be very mindful of this language pattern. I'm not applying or implying that we should never say this. I'm not implying that we should never say this.
Yes.
I'm implying that we should be very conscious when it's said.
Yeah.
That is, I have to.
Yes, that's a big one. We see that a
And
lot in my practice at South Bay Wellness. It's like, ah, I have to lose weight, or the other one is I can't eat that.
I can't, I love, so in the flip that I'm going to offer, and I'll even go over that I can't one, I love it, I love it.
Yeah.
The flip is, so I have to, and like I will literally to this day say to my wife, I will say, "Hey, you ready for dinner?" Or "Hey, you ready for start the movie?" And I might say to my wife, "Oh, I have to go send this one email," and I'll start walking away, and I'll come back, and I'll say it out loud. My wife, she knows, so just keep doing what she's doing, and I'll come back and I'll say, "I'm gonna go send this email."
Yes.
So the swap was from "I have
Hmm.
to "I am."
Hmm.
I am two most powerful words for us in manifesting. So, it's not just about like just change your words. Pause for a second. When you say I have to, at a neurological level, our unconscious mind, something has to be done, and we're the one that has to do it.
Yes.
You are unconsciously putting your neurology at effect.
Yes.
It
Hmm.
has to be done. I have to do it. I can't control this. My time's controlled. So I'm at effect. As soon as you say I am, there was options and I had the choice of decision and I made a decision. So
Yes.
it's shifted me over to I'm causing the fact that the email is going to go out before I start movie time. Think to yourself, whatever the thing is, I have to go to the gym, I have to clean my room, I have to get up, I have to be more disciplined, I have to be happier, I have to be nicer, I have to be.
A long
Think
list.
about,
Have to, should.
yes, when we say it to ourselves, think to yourself, does it benefit me to do this thing?
Yeah.
Like, does it benefit me to be nice? Yes. Would I like to be nice? Yes. Okay, am I going to be nice? Yes. Okay, I am nice. I don't have to be nice. I
Right.
might not be nice, but I am going to be nice.
Yeah. I choose.
Um, Go ahead, Dr. D, please.
I said I choose it, right? In this example, I choose to be nice.
And because you exercise the power of choice, your neurology understands you're at cause, you are a leader. People are magnetized to this. This is how you attract your tribe.
Yes.
I can't. The flip for that is how could I?
Hmm.
And how could I? So I remember my wife one time, like many years back, we were looking at a house and she said, we can't afford this. And I said, we can't afford it yet. And
Yeah.
but how could we afford it? And so we talked about the ways that we could. So whatever this thing is, I can't launch my business. I can't have this hard conversation. How could I have this hard conversation? How could I launch my business? How could I? And then you just see what would need to be there so that I could.
Yeah.
Once you see what those things are, now you're aware that you can do that.
Hmm.
And give yourself some agency, some autonomy. Just because you're aware of how you can do it, you can still decide to do the act of not doing it.
Yes.
So now it's not I can't do it, it's I am not doing that. I am going this direction instead.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so super powerful. I mean, what we're talking about here seems so simple as just semantics, right? It's just words. But I think what's really important to point out is there is legitimately energy behind those words. Energy that's either going to push you forward or energy that's going to kind of pull you back. And when we can choose to be cause in the matter of whatever it is that we're doing, it gives us so much more facility, whether it's what we decide to do it, like you said, or that we decide not to do it, right? But owning that facility, owning that choice makes a difference. And when we start to, what I'm hearing you say is when we start to own choice after choice after choice after choice, a whole new future emerges.
Yeah. We realize our power and it becomes, I mean, it becomes intoxicating. We realize what we're capable of. And, we see people making moves and making big moves and big moves. And we're like, how do I do that? Make small moves and keep going and collect those decisions and those choices. But man, it gets so much easier. I remember for those, depending on the listeners, someone listens at their earlier days. Someone's been on their journey for a while. I remember in the early days, like it seemed insanely hard.
Right.
If that's where you're at, man, it's like momentum happens quick and then you got to hang on for the ride. So if you're still there, yeah, yeah.
I love that. I love that. So tell me a little bit. I know in your practice and in your what you do firework walking, you do breaking boards, you really have these, metaphors, these immersive experiences. How do metaphors embody experiences and help us actually accelerate that rewiring process?
Man, I'm so glad you asked. I love talking about this symbolic healing and metaphors. I mean, metaphors are just incredibly powerful because when we all have a different model of the world.
Yeah.
So when someone shares a story with me, I'll extract exactly what I need from it, regardless of what they implied or what they meant.
Yes.
But the reason why we're capable, why this is possible or so, our mind is insanely symbolic. This is how we see faces and everything and hear things and all the stuff. Our mind is insanely symbolic. And an example, like, what exactly do you mean, Greg? Symbolic. Well, if someone raising their voice means they're going to offend me, we have symbolized a raised voice to have a meaning. Well, the mind just does this all the time.
Hmm.
And that's why we have to, I mean, said by me, my opinion, my belief, we have to go to the unconscious to really do deep healing,
Yes.
because it's something that's unconsciously symbolized and it doesn't
Yes.
actually make sense. And if you try to logically do it, you're just going to get lost and confused.
Yeah, it's an automatic program, right? Like my husband, for example, my husband's from Mexico. English is not his first language. And sometimes he just says things that someone who only speaks English should be like, that is so freaking rude, right? But it's not. It's just that it's the translation. So you can like almost hear how we kind of automatically like just dive into there. It's like a split second it happens and our mind is in a different direction.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Speaking of which, I slightly, my mind slightly went a different direction.
So, how do you use these metaphors?
Metaphors, yeah,
Why, why is it
symbology.
so important?
So when if we are to go about, I think again, very important, it's important for me to say, the modality that speaks to you, that works for you, is the one you need to go through, whatever that is. And the reason why I chose to go the direction of symbolic healing, Take, for example, on the other side, we could utilize something like talk therapy. This is a good thing. And for those that are having success with it, continue using it. For those who haven't tried it, explore and see if that's your modality. When we're looking at talk therapy, we're looking at a little bit more logically trying to figure out what this thing is, what's the root cause, what is the trigger, and we can go through this process, but we can definitely shorten this process because we need to gain awareness to go through this process over here. And again, good process. If we just symbolically allow the mind to go through it, and we don't even need to know what all the things mean, just that we checked all the symbols for the mind to go through the process, you can unconsciously heal what you are unconsciously holding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Darn awesome, is it not? That,
Yeah.
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 So, I mean, that's kind of like, it's like we don't have to go through. So, healing doesn't necessarily mean that we have to dive head in, experience all these maybe terrible emotions if there's things that are traumatic in order to heal. Like, we can heal without actually doing that by just kind of taking the lessons and learning what was there for us to see that, like you said before, maybe we couldn't see it because the emotions were so strong.
Absolutely. The unconscious mind will repress these memories with unresolved emotion to protect us. And oddly enough, it'll also present these memories with unresolved emotions for resolution when it sees an opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, if we hold if we look at both of these truths, sometimes people say, "Well, I don't know what the memory is that I need to process." Yeah, you don't. There's too much emotion around it so far. And then the other side is like sometimes something comes up, and then now the unconscious mind is now ready to allow that to have healing take place. When we do symbolic healing, we are healing, not healed. So we don't come to one program, do one thing, and we're like, it's all done. But we are able to have some like really deep shifts that are most likely going to allow us to, at a lot easier way, continue our journey of self-discovery. We're going to probably take the stingers out of a lot of these deeper memories so that you're able to go back in that dissociated position and learn new things about it and rewrite the beliefs. But of course, we're healing, not healed.
Yes, it's a journey and a process, and it's walking through that whole journey and that process. I love it. So,
Yeah.
so Greg, tell me, I always ask all of our guests, so what are 1 to 3 of like the top things that our listeners can begin to take on or practice in their daily life to help bring them to this better point?
Yeah, I love it. All right, first thing that I'm going to suggest is um, routine. Like routine is, I think, very overlooked. And
Mm,
then when we do look at routines, we try to find the right routine. It's just the one that you'll follow. I think routines are so important because if not, this journey is said by me, my opinion, mind, body, and spirit. And there's so many things that we have to do for the mind, for the body, and for the spirit. And it is real easy to look up and a day, week, month went by and, oh, I didn't work out, I didn't pray, I didn't meditate, I didn't journal, I didn't whatever the thing is. And so when we look at routine, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Like,
yeah.
let's just do one more inch every day.
Mhm.
10 years, when we look back, we're going to realize how much we did. But the only way is we keep stacking another inch every day. I think that's one of the bigger pieces. I think in people starting this journey, something you can implement. Start with a morning and an evening routine because all of us every day will go to sleep and wake up, or we don't have to worry about any of this anyway. So as long
Yeah.
as that's true, what will you do when you wake up? What's important to you? You decide. And like these are my checkpoints. Like the day doesn't start before X. And so if that's 6 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., I need Y hours, 2, 3 hours to get my stuff done. So I always have to wake up at this time.
Yes.
Back it up 8 hours. This is what time I have to go to bed. And then what do you do right before you go to bed? It's up to you. I mean, I can't recommend high enough and wherever you're at on your journey, but turn the TV off 30 minutes before you go to bed at least. All that stuff is sitting on your brain. when we're going to sleep, we're in the most hypnotic state of the entire day.
Yeah.
So what we're listening to as we drift into sleep, the mind doesn't shut down, just the body will manifest that all throughout the night. So turn that TV off 30 minutes before, maybe listen to a guided meditation, frequencies, maybe it's silence. Make sure you're focused on positive things that you desire to happen in your life right before you're going to sleep. And if you have nothing else to do the night before, put your clothes out for yourself. It's the most beautiful act of self-love when you wake up in the morning. It feels good, even though you know you did it.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you so much, Greg, for being here, for the work that you do out in the world, for your courage and bravery to take what you went through in your life and turn it into something beautiful for all the people that you help. Can you share with us a little bit about how we'll have it in the show notes, but for those who are not able to look at the show notes, please tell us how people can find you, where can they learn more about you?
Yeah, so they can go to gpmindgrowth.com or thepowerandthepain.com/SIYP to see about the firewalking events. Also on Facebook and LinkedIn are great places to follow along on my journey and see what I have going on. And Dr. D, I appreciate you hosting this platform and allowing I say for myself, but all the guests that you bring on, allowing our message to be amplified and heard by others.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. And everybody, we'll see you for the next episode of True Wellness with Dr. D. This is Dr. D reminding you to tune into your body, connect with what matters, and embrace the journey to true wellness. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who's ready to redefine their health. Be sure to grab a copy of the True Wellness checklist right in the show notes. Let's keep redefining wellness and empowering change together. See you for the next episode.